Welcome, everyone. This is our mid-year mastermind webinar. I'm joined here today with our CEO of Equity Real Estate, Tony Ketterling, and we're going to be sharing some valuable information with you today. So make sure you have a pen and notepad close by. And our expectation today is we want this web meeting to be collaborative. We also want it to be high value and interactive. So go ahead and turn on those webcams so that we can see your smiling faces. It's great to put a name and a face together. And let's jump right in. I know that your time's valuable today. And as we kick things off, what we'd like you to do, first of all, is just go ahead and type your name and where you're located at in the chat. So we have an idea of who's joining us from around the country. We sent this webinar invitation out to all the agents in our company, but we also posted it on social media. So we're going to have some individuals today that are not actually with our company joining us, and that's okay because we love to share information and we love to help agents level up in our industry. So as we kick things off today and you're dropping your name and information in the chat, what I want to do is I want to introduce Tony Ketterling. He's the CEO of Equity Real Estate. He is a wealth of knowledge. He's been in this industry for a long time, and he is on the leading edge of what's really happening in real estate right now. And what I want to do is just give him a second to welcome everyone, and then we're going to jump into our topics for today. And again, as we're going along, if you have questions, make sure that you're typing those in the chat, or you just simply raise your hand and let's make this interactive. So Tony, do you want to just take a minute and introduce yourself and share with everyone who Equity Real Estate is for those agents that are jumping on today that are not with our company?
Sure, love to. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Randy that was a very nice way of saying that I'm old and been in the industry a long time, so I appreciate that. But one of the things that I've enjoyed about Equity is just our ability to be able to reach out to agents with or without us and just share what we know what's going on in the market. And I think what's nice is when you run a company that's closing 9 to 15,000 transactions a year, you kind of see everything that's happening in the industry and going on right now. So I just like to share with you what I've been seeing, and if there's anybody that has any information about their particular markets and stuff that they're seeing, chime in and maybe we can get some answers and just build on that. Equity's been around for a while. I've been the CEO here for about 3.5, 4 years now, and we're just growing and we're very excited about what's happening in the market. We're seeing lots of weird things happening out there right now with MLSs and still some uncertainty that still happened because of lawsuits and stuff that went on. But all in all, we just kind of stayed steady through everything and have just kept our course and I guess the key too, kept our heads down, kept working hard every day. And, we're winning because of that. And I think that's one of the things that I want to, share with everybody today. So, yeah, there it is.
Awesome. Well, Tony, do you want to share with everybody what you see out there that's working right now in the market? Because I know I know that you've been in the industry now for quite a while. Equity's been here for 23 years, and we've been through probably 5 or 6 different markets. I know at least the time that we've been in real estate together. What's working right now? What are a few things that are actually helping agents list and close transactions?
Well, I mean, obviously the very most important thing, and I say this, to everybody whenever I talk about it, is that now's the time for you to really engage a lot with your sphere and let them know that you're still there, that you're still around, that still things are happening in the industry, and give them kind of an idea of what's going on in the market. I've heard a very interesting quote today from Lou Holtz, and Lou Holtz says there's like 3 things that people really want to know. First thing they want to know is, can they trust you? So when you're reaching out to your sphere, can they trust you? Do they know that you've got information that you're going to give them that is important? The second thing is, do you have knowledge about what's going on in the industry? Do you have knowledge of, how that is important? It's just they want to know that you know your stuff. And then The third thing is how can you help them? And everybody's in a different position at any point in time in their real estate, right? Help them might be, hey, how much do I spend on a kitchen renovation if I'm going to live in the house for the next 5 years versus, if I sell it now or any of those things. Those are the kinds of things that are really important. And I always say, whenever the market has slowed, and when I say slowed, we in 2020 and 21, we were closing 15 to 16,000 transactions a year. And then since that point in time in 2022, 23, 24, it's slowed up a little bit. And when I say slowed up, we're closing 9,000 transactions. That's 43% off of where we were before. So what we learned to do is be very fiscally responsible so that we're still profitable in that area. But we learned that during that time, is when we really can plant those seeds and build that base much stronger so that when the market does turn, and we know that it's going to turn, I mean, when you start looking at everything that's happening in the industry right now, real estate typically only stays in a recessionary period, which I think that we're in since the interest rates went up. They only stay in that period anywhere from 18 months to 28 months. And we're kind of coming onto that cusp right now. And there's just some real pressure that's starting to happen. We've seen inflation drop from 9% down to 2.5%. So when inflation drops, what the Fed said to us is then that's when they'll lower the interest rates. But now they're saying, well, let's wait and see what happens with the tariffs. Let's wait and see everything else that's going on, which is fine, but eventually that pressure catches these people. So we're going to see rates start to come down. And so planting the seeds now with your people that maybe have not done anything, but are thinking about maybe doing that is a very good way for you to continue to build your business. Then as you build your business that way, then there's certain things because people always say to me, well, my sphere is only 150 people, right? Well, yeah, it's 150 people that know 150 people. So if you're the expert in real estate for those people, then you've got a lot of people that you're dealing with. But with me, whenever I'm talking about real estate and growing your business, you're never, ever not adding to your sphere. You're never not doing that. So how do you do that? What are some ways? Well, we've seen listing inventories go up. I think Jolie was telling me just this last weekend here in the Utah area, we had over 900 open houses last weekend. There's a lot of open houses. Well, you do 900 open houses for a couple of reasons. One, because there's more listings and your clients are saying, hey, do an open house. But two, buyers are getting out and taking a look at things. They're just kind of being a lot more picky. And so that gives you the opportunity to meet buyers. So even though I'm not a big proponent of open houses, I'm like, you won't catch me in one. I haven't for many years, but I tell my agents it's a good time to be in an open house because you're going to meet new people. And maybe those new people aren't going to be reacting and doing something right now. They might be just out taking a look and seeing what the market's doing, but they will eventually. And so those are the people that you can add to your database and keep growing your business that same way. So you're constantly doing that. I think you're constantly talking about real estate. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a name tag on you that says you're with Equity Real Estate or you're with who XYZ Real Estate, and that you're a realtor or a broker, and that you have that information there because people are still a little confused about what's going on out there, right? They're like, whoa, man, I can't afford a house. And then when you start talking to them about the affordability versus the availability, because right now, because there's so much available out there, they've got a lot better chance of picking something and just sharing with them, okay, look, maybe you're going to pay a little bit higher interest rate at this point in time in purchasing, but we know based on everything that goes on in the market that we will see interest rates drop. And so what if you go ahead and lock in and get into a place, a little higher interest rate, if you can qualify for it and pay for it, and then go ahead, get in there, start doing that because it's still an appreciating asset. And then as that money or as that business real interest rate starts to drop off again, then you can refinance and do what you need to do to get to where you feel more comfortable with it. But the main thing to just let people know is, hey, real estate still is one of the best investments that you could ever do out there. In 50 years of real estate, there was only 6 times in those 50 years that we saw negative growth in real estate. And 4 of those 6 years were 2008 to 2012. So you know what happened in that period of time when the market really made an adjustment because of some really terrible loans that were out there. That's not happening now. And so you might have people saying, well, I'm waiting for the crash. It's not going to happen. We just don't have enough inventory for that to happen. So that's what I say, do some open houses, always be talking real estate, and then always be bolstering your sphere so that you can constantly be reaching out to them with information about what's going on in the industry. That help, Randy? A little
Awesome,
bit?
great advice. What message would you have? Because we talked a little bit about buyers and interest rates. What message do you have for agents where right now they have a seller that might be hesitant to put their home on the market and sell because there is inventory?
I think that's a great point, and I think more choices are better for buyers out there. So they're really, even though there's more inventory out there, people tend to think that means there's less buyers. There are not less buyers. There are more buyers than we've ever needed, and we needed more inventory. But for them to be able to have the choice and to look at stuff, so I always tell agents, look, if you're going to put your client, if they're going to put your home on the market, we got to do all the right things. And all the right things means we need to price it correctly. We can't go in and overprice it. So we need to have a conversation about how this property is going to price in the market. And we can look at that. And if you don't feel comfortable with that at that point in time, and you don't want to list at that, then we don't want to do it. Because there's nothing more uncomfortable than having to leave your house on a Sunday afternoon when you have a barbecue plan with the family because somebody's going to come and take a look at it if you have an overpriced listing. So pricing is super important. The next thing is that you have to be the shiniest, nicest house on the market. You have to do that. So I say professionally stage every listing that you have right now. Professionally stage that, whether it means with their furniture, because stagers will come in and adjust it with their furniture they have, or they can bring in their own stuff and do their own furniture if it's a vacant house or something like that. But stage the property so that they are the shiniest and best out there. And then just use that with the right pricing and the shiniest on the market. And then just make sure that you're always constantly following up with every single person that goes through that house, whether they're going to buy it or not. Check back with those agents and find out what is it? What did you see? What can we do to improve? My clients are interested in selling the property. It's all about getting out there. Just because there's a lot of inventory doesn't mean there's a lot of good inventory because people put their house on the market and they don't do it right. I think we've all seen the pictures of somebody that's laying in the bed where they took a picture of the bedroom, or they got laundry in the laundry room laying around. All that stuff makes a big difference to buyers out there. So be the shiniest, be the best price, and just make sure that you're following up completely with people and you'll still sell them. We are still closing over usually 500-600 transactions a month. And it's because at least half of those are sellers. And it's because they're doing all the right things to get them sold. So market's still moving. It's just you got to be doing it the right way. Overpriced listings, no. And if you don't prepare them right, you shouldn't be putting them on. And just tell them that. Give them that information. They'll appreciate that the most.
Well, and I know from feedback from a lot of our brokers and our agents that have listings that right now are not selling on the market. What they're doing is they're taking advantage of our property management division and they're putting properties into property management, renting them out, and then they're going to wait for the market shift over the next 12 months. And then when the market does change, they can take those properties out of property management and clean them up at that time, and then list and sell them. So for a lot of our sellers, especially the sellers that bought the last during the pandemic or prior to the pandemic where interest rates were really low, a lot of those properties cash flow right now, and that is a great alternative for a lot of property owners out there that can kind of weather the storm. We always talk about most people sell because of a life event, and sometimes it's not a choice. They absolutely have to sell, whether it's uh, relocation for employment, it's a family situation, it's financial. Those sellers oftentimes they're the highest motivated seller, of course. But for those property owners that want to wait it out, taking advantage of property management, cash flowing, and continuing to build wealth through real estate is a great option for them.
Absolutely. It's a great point. And, I mean, we never know. It's a life event. If you get transferred to another town and you have a house, you need to sell it. But if you can't sell it, it's still okay to rent it. You'll still be gaining that equity. You'll still be growing that. And then when it becomes more relevant for you to do that, then that's when you do it. So, yeah.
Now, I know that we're halfway through, a little more than halfway through 2025. I can't believe how fast it's actually going.
I can't either.
Right. And we meet with agents in our branches all the time. Our company is the brokers, and of course, before the end of the year, we always do business planning. I know a lot of agents right now where you're mid-year, you're looking at your goals, where you set them in the beginning of the year, where you might be right now. A lot of the feedback that we're getting is a lot of agents are behind on their goals. They're not really where they want to be. And so what advice would you have for agents that were mid-year, they're not, they're behind, they might not be on track to where they want to be. What advice would you have for that agent out there right now that's kind of going, okay, we're halfway through. I want to finish strong, but what do I need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really one of the things that happens in all business, right? I mean, I look at that here at Equity as a corporation as like, okay, we're halfway through the year, a little more than halfway through the year, and what is it that we need to do? And the biggest thing that I think is always fall back to the basics. You have to fall back to the basics. So if you feel like you're behind, it's not that you have to do twice as much to catch up, but you need to be consistent with everything that you do. There's a reason that the consistency works every time. So I would say look at your goals, break them up into maybe more instead of the last 6 months of the year, break them up into 6 week intervals through the end of the year. And then take that and divide that out into those 6 week intervals. And then set your goals for the next 6 weeks. And in that time frame, make sure that you're very consistent with what you're going to do to reach that 6 week goal. Because what that does is that gets some momentum moving again. Lots of times, and this is probably why we're having this conversation, Randy, lots of times agents set goals at the beginning of the year and say, I'm going to sell 25 properties. And then they get to June and they've sold four. And they go, you do the math, you're like, wow, that's, if we're halfway through the year and you sold four, you're going to get to eight. It's a natural thought for us as a human being to say, yeah, but I'm going to get my next 21 properties in the end of the year, and it's like, well, what are you going to do different to do that, right? Because you only got four for the first of the year, and now you're going to get the next 21 in the last year. So I find it's much better if you break those goals down into 12 weeks, and if you do that where you have a 12-week period, so I say six, but go 6 weeks and then reevaluate and then another 6 weeks and look at that. When you do that, what ends up happening is it pushes you quicker towards those goals. And it also puts a little more urgency in there, right? Because if you had done that at the first of the year and you said, okay, my first 12 weeks, I've got to close 6 transactions and you're only at four, you're going to react a lot differently than you say, hey, I'm going to close 24 transactions for the year and I'm only at four, but I got the rest of the year to get it done. And I know September's always really busy, yada, yada. But the thing is if you break them up a little bit closer like that, it helps keep you on track and it helps you keep consistent with the things that you need to do. And I always say, go back to the basics. And that is talking to everybody that you know about real estate, working your sphere, doing open houses. Those types of things will drive more energy into your business, and then that's going to create more business for you.
Awesome. And I know that one of the most powerful uh, things that you can do right now is if you have a listing and it sells quickly, you just send out a just sold postcard, but make sure that you're putting in the number of days that it took you to sell it. So if you recently sold something and it was sold in 7 days, you need to let everybody know you sold it in 7 days. And and again, just listed, just sold cards, those are things that agents have been doing forever in the industry. But it's also a lot of things that agents have gotten away from because of technology. uh, Actual, snail mail is actually working better now than it's ever worked before because everybody's so technology driven now that the 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 basics, like you mentioned, of personal notes and just direct communication, picking up the telephone, having a conversation is now going a lot further than the technology and the automation.
Yeah, it's basics, right? We got to get back to basics. I mean, I'm looking here and I see some people that have been in the industry a while. Sorry, I mean, the gray hairs, the kicker on that, right? Right, Dismas, right, Ricky? It's like we get it, but what happens is people that have been in the industry for a while, especially they start diving back into why they think that it's so important to be on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. Yes, they are important, but that basics, getting back to everything that you did at the basics time is really what's important. Because remember, people may not be on Facebook, but they get a postcard from you saying that you sold the neighbor's house 4 doors down. It's just so much different when you look at it, stuff like that. And it's not that expensive anymore. And especially now, there's some different companies out there that help do that stuff where you can just say, look, I want to send 50 postcards around this particular place. And all you're doing is just paying for the postage and the postcard. And it's so easy to do, but we get caught up with, well, yeah, but that's not on Facebook and there's not going to get that many likes and nobody's going to heart it or do all that stuff. I mean, that's all nice. That's all great to have out there. And you're going to get people that react and come back to you that way too. But do the basics. The basics are face to face, talking to people, postcards out there. I would go one more step than Randy even said right there, and that is if you sold a place for 7 days or 10 days or even in this market 30 days in an area and that place went under contract, when you're going out and picking up your sign or when you're picking up your key box or whatever, I think I'd carry that key box with me and I'd walk to every house within 15 minutes of that place and say, hey, I've just picked up the key box of the house I sold in 30 days and the people are really happy. And I don't know whether you're selling, but here's my card, and I just want you to know if you ever want to do it, that's great. Now they may not ever use you, but that work that you put out there in the universe is going to come back. Believe me, it does every single time. You just have to believe that it's going to do it. And yeah, you're going to get some people that are say, I'm not interested. I'm never going to sell. Don't bug me ever again. And you're going to say, absolutely. Love it. Thank you. I just wanted to let you know that you got a new neighbor coming in. That's it. It's basics is what really works in real estate. Uh, eh, Honestly, if basics didn't work in real estate, we would all be out of a job and Zillow would be in charge of everything right now, wouldn't they? Because that's what they said. Right, we're going to eliminate the real estate agent because we can do everything online. No, they can't. They can't get face to face with people and talk to them about what's going on in the industry. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, what suggestion would you have for everybody to reconnect with their database if they've been out of contact with them for a while?
Uh, Pick up the phone and call. I mean, I all know we think this thing weighs 800 pounds, right? It's like, so don't even pick it up. I think you can voice dial now if that's what the problem is picking it up. Just pick up the phone and call. And here's what I always think when you're talking with people, depending on where they are in your database and whether they're an A+ client and they've done business with you before, or whether they're somebody in the beginning. I always relate real estate sales to like dating, right? It's and getting married, right? I don't call you up right away, Paul, and say, hey, Paul, Do you want to get married? Let's get married. I like you. You're pretty cool, right? So I think what happens is when you call it, especially if you haven't talked to your database in a while, you can tell them, look, hey, it's good to finally connect with you. Hey, from time to time, I come across really valuable information about what's happening in the real estate industry because I'm in the real estate industry. So I come across this information and I like to share it with my best clients and with people that I know. Do you have anybody that does that for you now? And most of the time, you're going to get back from that, no, I don't. And you say, would it be okay if I shared with you, right? Great. Now you're sharing, now you're dating, right? Now we're like, hey, now I got some information. So now, Ricky, you get a postcard from me and says I sold something or I did something and or this is what's happening with interest rates. And now we're getting to know each other a little bit there, right? Once I've done that, once I've got to that point in time with connecting with them, now I can call them back up and I can say, hey, Paul, have you been getting the information that I've been sending you? Has it been valuable to you? Most of the time you're going to say, yeah, it's been great. They say, Paul, I've chose to build my business by taking care of my best clients. And if you were to buy or sell real estate or know somebody that was going to buy or sell real estate, you know, do you have anybody that you would refer them to? And most clients are going to say no because you've been sending them information. They're going to say no. And you're going to say, I'd like to be that person. Can I be that person? Right? Now, all of a sudden, I've asked for permission to ask him anytime I talk to him on the phone now, hey, Paul, are you thinking about buying and selling a house? Do you know anybody buying and selling a house? Because I asked him the permission, but I didn't do that at first. So that's why I said, whenever you're working with your database, it's living and breathing. You're working with it all the time and you're building that relationship. Paul is one of our great brokers in Denver and does a lot of recruiting and stuff there. And we were on a call today, and Paul says, I've been planting seeds all summer long. And it's been rough, right? There was a couple times Paul's like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. It just nobody's coming in. I'm not talking to anybody about joining. This is not what's happening. But he stayed consistent and he kept dating and he kept dating and he kept dating. And pretty soon now, all of a sudden, they're coming in and they're meeting with him. And pretty soon we're going to be married. Those are the things that happen in real estate. But we don't think of it that way, right? Because we're just nature tells us that I'm going to say to Randy, do you want to buy or sell a house? And you go, no. And you go, oh, dang. Okay, well, I better call Dismas and find out, are you going to buy or sell a house? And that it becomes too advantageous. You have to come in much softer, much nicer. But again, with the attitude that you're there to help them, not with anything else in mind. I'm there to help you out. I'm going to give you information. Whether you ever buy or sell with me, I'm going to give you good information. And then one day I'm going to ask you if you will buy or sell with me. You'll win every time that way.
Awesome. Now, I know that Tony, over the course of your career, you've kind of partied your way to the top and you do lots of client events. And do you just want to share?
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Um, how many client events on average do you do every year for your business?
We usually do 3 to 4 per year. We've got a big one coming up next week where I've invited my clients to a water park here in town. I've got a lender that's working with me, and so the lender's helping me with purchasing that, and I'm inviting my clients there. And again, it's just bringing them in, letting them know how much I care about them, right? So you don't have to pay any money. Come to this water park. We reserved it for the whole night. I think I think hopefully close to 1,000 people. Not all mine. I've got a bunch of my agents that are bringing their people too, and so we do this big event this way, and so we do that one. We do a spring event, and we usually do like a pumpkin patch or something like that, and then I'll do something with my agents more in the Christmas time and stuff like that. But I think whenever you're doing events, it doesn't have to be a lot of events, but it just has to be something that's well thought out, and it doesn't have to be huge either. It literally can be, I'm having people over in my backyard and I'm going to cook, hot dogs, and it's going to be a nice summer event. We're just going to do that. Just get together as a group and talk. And what ends up happening with that is you end up getting people being more engaged, understanding and seeing how much you care about them. Because remember what I said, the last thing that Lou Holtz said is, what are you going to do for me? You got to show people what you're going to do for them. You really do. And if you show them that you care about them enough to put an event on, to get them going that way, even if they don't buy, I have many clients that have referred me people over the years that have never bought a house from me. If I were waiting for them to buy a house, I would not be doing this. I'd be doing something else because they just never move, right? We all know those people, like they move into their mom and dad's house and they never move out. They're never going to move. But hey, if I'm the expert and I know them and they see how much I care about them and I care about my clients, when they run into somebody at their church group or when they're out on an outing and they hear the word real estate, they're going to think of you because you're the one that's showing them how much you care. I always say it's a reticulating activator. Okay, we all have them. We all use them. I always use this example. It's the reason that I can say to all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. McDonald's put that damn thing in my head 25 years ago, right? But it's my reticulating activator. So whenever I think of McDonald's, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to go get myself a Big Mac because that's what I was explaining. But it's the same with our people. If we show them how much we care, if we're consistent with the message that we put out there, they will constantly be out there being our sales group for us, helping us out, referring people to us. So that's why it's so important. It doesn't Any market in the world doesn't matter. You can be in the busiest market in the world or the slowest market in the world. You always have your SOI. The challenges we run into is when we're slow, we got a little more time to work with our SOI. When we're busy, we don't have time to work with our SOI. So we all kind of drop that off. That's why the thing that I keep hammering for all of you on this call is be consistent. You don't have to hit everybody in your SOI today, but you probably should hit 3 to 5 every day. And if you do that, that's very manageable. You can do that. And it just adds up over time and over time. And those seeds come through, and you can see it happen time and time again by doing
Awesome. And just want to share with you, Tony, that wasn't 24 years ago. That was 1974.
that. Oh, okay.
That
So
that's when
that
the
was
Big
more than
Mac jingle
24
came out.
years. Shoot, that was 50 years ago. See,
Yeah.
now there you go. Hey, I at least have my hair, Randy. I'm not picking on you.
I had a full head of hair when I started in real estate. So,
I know it. I know you then. That's why.
well, what can an agent do right now to maximize their effort and energy between now and the end of the year?
Well, you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Go to work and get up and do it. And you got to do it on a daily basis. And whatever that is, whatever time that is. I've always been, I feel successful because I'm one of these crazy guys that gets up at 5 a.m. and I do a consistent thing every morning until I get those things done. And so I always say, get up, go to work, do your big things first. You always talk about your big rocks. Do your big rocks first, which means call your past clients, call your listings, call your buyers, do all that stuff early. And the reason that you do that early is because I call them the flaming arrows of real estate, right? It's like you're all of a sudden, if you wait till afternoon, now you've got the appraisal comes in too high and you got to pull that arrow out and stamp it out, right? Or the inspection, you got to deal with that stuff. And all those things come in usually later in the day. And so get up early, get the things done that you need to do early. Then, even if you're done with everything at that point in time, that's okay. Relax. Know you did your job for the day and don't get so pressuresome that I got to do more, 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 more. No, it's about being consistent. That helps you with the consistency. When we get into that more, 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 then tomorrow morning you don't get up early because you're like, oh, I was up until 11:30 last night sending out stuff. I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and start my routine. No, it's okay. Make sure you do that. And then understanding to win that particular time, to win that day, is you're not going to have to hit it every day. Hit 3 to 4 days of the 7 days, right? Hit consistently 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks of the month that you're consistent. Hit 8 months a year. Those types of just being consistent that much, you'll win way more than anybody else out there. But it's the consistency. And that's the thing is we all, I mean, all of us um, have been to the gym in January, right? When you walk in and you're like, I can't even find a machine to use, right? But if you wait until about the 21st of January through February 1st, you can go in anytime and find any machine because people go in, they work, they try to do it, and then they just aren't consistent. And the consistency is what's going to win every single time. So I would say for me to make it through the end of the year, I'm going to consistently get up and work every day and have my goal of talking to 3 to 5 of my sphere, to setting an open house, going and doing an open house. If you don't have any listings, call an agent and ask them if you can help them. There's so much opportunity for us right now to get out there and do that and meet people, but be consistent with it through the end of the year and you'll win every time. And guess what? Even if you don't come in with that, you've got a runway of 6.5 months, 6 months of building and growing stuff like that. You're going to go into 2026 and be explode into that year. So be consistent, keep filling up that pipeline, and it will just constantly grow and grow and grow. And pretty soon, all those seeds that you planted, you'll be. I tried to have a meeting with Paul this week, and he told me, I can't talk to you until Friday because I got too many interviews going on. That's what I want to hear happening. That's what will happen with you when you're doing that in the real estate world as well, just out there doing that. So,
Awesome, great advice. We talked today about being an expert advisor for your clients. We talked about uh, budgeting for your business. We talked about the basics. We talked about consistency, and then the biggest thing is what most agents don't like to hear is just go to work. Don't go to work on busy work. Go to work on income producing activity work. And of course, being in the real estate industry for a long time, most agents, we get told no a lot. So we get up every day, we hopefully follow our consistent routine, we eat rejection for breakfast, and then we go to work. And uh, the everybody's always looking for the magic pill or the secret sauce, and in reality, it's really what you said. It's that consistency. And so, I know that even myself, a lot of good reminders today of what we should be doing in our business to accelerate it. Finish 2025 strong. Of course, everybody has to remember real estate is always 60 to 90 days behind. And coming up here, I know that I had a mentor once tell me that you should celebrate New Year's on September 30th every year. And October 1st is New Year's Day in real estate. Because if you do your business planning during the month of September for October or for October 1st, and you finish the year strong, you're going to be 90 days ahead of all the other agents in the industry heading into 2026. But the biggest thing is staying engaged with your broker, staying engaged with training, staying engaged with everything that our company is doing to help you grow your business. Jump on these webinars that we have. We have a national training calendar that goes out every week on Monday. We record all the webinars that we do. They're on our YouTube channel. You can go check those out. And of course, if you're always struggling with anything in your business, you can always reach out to your broker or reach out to us at Equity Corporate, because we're always here to help agents, whether they're with our company or not, grow their business. And as we kind of wrap things up today, Tony, do you have any other words of advice or anything that you'd like to share with everybody?
All right. So I kind of said get up early. One of the things I started doing just this year, really consistently, is a gratitude journal. And so I would say start yourself a gratitude journal. Do it in the morning and just be grateful. It doesn't matter what it is you're grateful for. You got to be grateful for something. Hey, if you're writing in the journal, you're alive. So be grateful for being alive, right? But be just do that on a daily basis and start writing in there. That really helps you get your set for the day of what you're going to do and stuff. But the other thing too is people are confused out there. People are worried about what's going on in the world. People are, it's a tough time right now. Be excited and be that light at the for them to come to, and they're going to want to be around you if you're excited and you're this is what's happening in real estate, and this is why I'm excited, and this is why we can help you as a family to build your wealth and do all that stuff. But be excited, right? Nobody wants to be around a negative Ned or a negative Nelda, right? They want to be excited. If you show up that way, excited about what's going on in the industry and what's happening, you will gain more clients that way. And then that will also, so if you can be grateful and be excited and get up early, you got it licked, man. The rest of the year is going to be great for you. And you're going to go into 2026, like Randy said, like you're not going to be a pumpkin latte realtor who stops working in October. You're going to be working all the way through the end of the year because that's the first part of your next year. And I think that's a real important thing for you to do as a agent, as a broker, as anything that you're doing out there is be excited about what you're doing. I think you're muted, Randy. Oh, right there. Randy, you're muted. That's my it's my
Uh,
favorite thing when Randy's muted, but I
Right,
mean,
is when I'm
for
muted.
you guys, we don't want to do that.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap things up today, I'm going to put my contact information up on the screen. I'm the Director of National Growth and Development with Equity. You're always welcome to call me. You're welcome to send me an email. You can scan that QR code, schedule a 15-minute phone call, a 30-minute web meeting, a 1-hour web meeting. Doesn't matter if you're with Equity or not. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to help you grow your business. For everybody that did join us live on the webinar today, you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to invest and take your time today
Yes.
to be with us. And that's what separates the top producers from the rest in the industry. And let's all finish 2025 strong, not by working harder, but by working with more clarity, energy, and support. And we'll see everybody at the top. And thanks again for joining us today. Be safe.
Yeah, thanks for coming being out here, everybody. I really appreciate it. So see you soon.